Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go!
This happened over a decade ago. A social media memory reminded me about it. I was about 11 years old and went to a middle school with uniforms. I wore a navy polo shirt and a khaki skirt every day. I was very skinny back then. You could call me a beanpole and be right. After school one day, my brother and I went to a big electronics store to buy a new mouse for our family computer. The workers there wore royal blue shirts with a yellow logo tag and khakis. So I looked like a tiny employee in my school uniform. My brother spent about 45 minutes looking at video games he couldn't buy. I got bored and walked around the store. I was in the laptop bag section when I saw an elderly woman trying to reach a bag on the top shelf. She couldn't stretch enough to get it. When she saw me, she looked happy. The elderly woman asked if I could help her get the purple bag. I was taught to help older people and had nothing else to do. Even though I was short, I got the bag off the hook. I gave her the bag. She thanked me and told me her granddaughter got a full scholarship to university, and purple was the school color. I told her that was amazing and her granddaughter must be very smart. She agreed her granddaughter was a good girl. As she walked to the front counter, I heard her say they hire younger people every year. I wished that was the end of the story. About 5 minutes later, I heard a child yelling about needing a bathroom in Spanish. The boy was about 3 years old and his mom was looking around while talking to him in Spanish. I knew the store didn't have a public bathroom. I didn't know much Spanish, but I tried to help. I pointed to the store next door and used the few Spanish words I knew. My Spanish was bad, but she understood what I meant. She thanked me and said something I didn't understand before picking up her child and hurrying away. She left her purse behind. I didn't want to leave it alone, so I waited for her to come back. After 5 more minutes with no sign of her, I started fixing products on the shelves. Then a couple walked up to me. They were entitled people, Mr. and Mrs. Entitled. Mr. Entitled had a cart full of a TV and other expensive things. Mrs. Entitled approached me with a disgusted look. Mrs. Entitled told me the registers were backed up. I asked what she meant. She told me I should be sorry and needed to check them out right now. I told her I didn't work there. Mr. Entitled said I did. I told him I didn't. Mr. Entitled said he saw me helping other customers and cleaning things. I tried explaining I really didn't work there and was just hanging out after school. Mrs. Entitled called me a lying piece of trash. She accused me of not wanting to help them because of their race. She called me racist. I started to cry. I was just a kid being accused of something terrible. Through my tears, I tried to say I wasn't racist and was just waiting for someone. Mr. Entitled ordered me to go to the registers and check them out before they got me fired. He called me a racist child. I backed away because I was scared. I tried to explain. Mrs. Entitled told me not to walk away from her. She pushed me, and I fell into a display of video game consoles. I knocked over about 15 boxes. It made a loud crash that sounded expensive. That's when an employee and my brother showed up. My brother asked if I was okay. The employee asked what happened. Mr. Entitled claimed I knocked over the display on purpose to blame them. Mrs. Entitled added that I refused to help them because of their race and told them to go back to their country. Mr. Entitled said people like me shouldn't have jobs, but should be in jail. I was already dealing with anxiety and self-doubt problems. I had counseling for these issues. The situation made me break down completely. I burst into tears. Mrs. Entitled called me pathetic. The employee looked at me closely and asked who I was. Mr. Entitled insisted I worked there and he saw me helping customers. My brother told them I was his little sister. Mr. Entitled accused my brother of protecting a racist brat. My brother pointed out I was only 11. He said kids my age are supposed to be brats, but I was too nice. He joked it was annoying how nice I was. The store manager came out and put us in different rooms. The couple wanted to press charges against me, so police were called. While waiting, my mom came from the grocery store next door. She was taken to the manager's office where we were. When police arrived, they took statements from everyone. The couple now accused me of assault and theft too. An officer came to take my statement. I told him everything that happened. He asked for ID, so I showed my 5th grade student ID. An officer looked at it and asked who my teacher was. I told him it was Miss M. The officer said his daughter was in that class. I read his name tag and realized I knew his daughter. I asked if he was Mary's dad. He said yes and asked if I was the kid his daughter wanted to have a sleepover with. I nodded. The officer told us they had our statements and watched the security footage. My mom was surprised there was footage. The officer said everything was on tape, me helping customers, them yelling at me, the woman pushing me, and them blaming me. My mom was relieved. The officer asked if we wanted to press charges. We decided to press charges. The entitled couple was taken away in handcuffs. As they left, Mr. Entitled yelled threats at me and kicked an officer. As they put him in the police car, the Spanish-speaking woman I helped earlier came up to us. She said that guy was crazy. I looked at her, confused. She told me she spoke English. I apologized for assuming she didn't, explaining I heard her speaking Spanish earlier. She told me not to worry. She said it was sweet I tried so hard to help and encouraged me to keep practicing Spanish. After this scary event, my mom always made us change out of our school uniforms before going to stores. I might have looked like a small employee in my uniform, but that didn't excuse how those entitled people treated me. The good part was seeing them get in trouble, especially after they tried to make me the bad guy. This happened a few years back when I worked at a hotel. I started out as a maintenance engineer. I tested the pool chemicals, replaced filters, fixed stuff in rooms. I liked the job because it kept me busy, and I got to use my hands. The hotel had 600 rooms spread across 6 floors. It was close to the airport, so we got lots of flight crews staying with us. During spring, management moved me to overnight security. One of the night guards left for 2 weeks of Army Reserve training. I got paid more for working nights. The night differential was $3.50 per hour extra. My shift ran from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. As night guard, I kept peace around all 6 floors of the hotel. I wore a uniform with a company logo and carried a radio, flashlight, and baton. Usually I had backup, so I didn't handle troublemakers alone. My partner was an ex-military guy who knew how to talk people down. On a Friday night, my partner called in sick. The manager asked if I felt comfortable working alone. I said yes, because Fridays were usually quiet except for the bar crowd. Around 11 p.m., adults were at the pool after it closed at 10:30 p.m. The pool closing time was posted on signs all around the area. I walked to the pool area. I could hear them laughing and splashing from the hallway. I counted 6 people, all in their 20s or early 30s. I told the group the pool closed at 10:30 p.m. One guy told me they were hotel guests and should be able to use facilities whenever they wanted. I pointed to the posted rules on the wall. They scoffed and complained but took their time leaving. While waiting, I noticed their room key cards showed they were all staying on the 5th floor. They left 9 bottles of alcohol near the pool. Outside, alcohol was against hotel policy. I cleaned up after them. I logged the incident in the security report. 30 minutes later, we got a noise complaint from the 5th floor. An airline pilot called the front desk about loud music. He had an early flight and needed sleep. Someone played loud music next door. I told the front desk lady I'd check it out. She gave me the room number and asked me to be careful. At the room, I knocked and saw one of the pool guys answer. He looked wasted. His eyes were bloodshot and he smelled like beer. He called me security dude. I told him I heard the music across the building and people needed sleep. He said not his fault if they couldn't sleep through noise. I told him it would be his problem if we came back. I mentioned we had a 3-strike policy before eviction. I said we had pilots and businessmen staying who needed sleep. He told me to get lost. He slammed the door but turned down the music. I went back to the front desk and told her what happened. I marked it as strike 1 in the system. 30 minutes later, another room complained about smoke and loud music. This time it was a family with children. I checked the fire panel. The smoke detector was disconnected in the same room. Tampering with fire safety equipment was an automatic eviction offense. I radioed the front desk to let them know the situation. I went back up and knocked. The music got quiet. Someone crept to the door. They stuffed a towel under the door to block smoke. They tried removing it without me noticing. A guy opened the door with lights off. It was a different person from the pool group. The room smelled strongly of weed. He asked if he could help me. I told him about the music complaint and disconnected smoke alarm. He told me to get lost and asked why we were nosy. I said I kept the hotel from going to hell and needed to check the smoke detector. I showed him my maintenance ID badge. He claimed it was too dark to see anything. I turned on the light switch. They had bags of MJ, lighters, and broken bottles everywhere. 5 people were inside the room. I recognized all of them from the pool. The room only allowed a maximum of 3 guests. He yelled they were trying to sleep. I said they were doing more than sleeping and asked about the bags. He said it wasn't my business and told me to leave. I pointed to the hotel policy booklet on the desk. I said I was kicking them out with a smoking fine. The smoking fine was $200 plus cleaning fees. He started saying they weren't smoking cigarettes. I cut him off saying I knew what they had. I gave him options: take the fine and leave, or I'd call police for drug possession. Our hotel was in a state where recreational MJ wasn't legal yet. We usually let people go if they took the fine and left. The hotel didn't want the hassle of police reports scaring other guests. He swore at me and said he hated rent-a-cops. I gave him 15 minutes to pack up. I told him I'd wait in the hallway while they gathered their things. I shut the door and walked toward the elevator to call for backup. Hotel policy required 2 staff members for evictions. The door opened behind me. Something hit the back of my head hard. I felt dizzy and stumbled forward. I turned to see the same guy holding a bottle of ale. I was angry. My vision blurred for a second. I felt the back of my head, and my hand came away with blood. I'm 5'8" and 250 pounds. I had basic self-defense training from the security company. He swung at me again. I blocked the bottle with my arm and pulled my baton. I hit his knee so he fell forward. He dropped the bottle. I kneed his back and cuffed him. The handcuffs were hotel-issued and not police-grade. He squirmed and cursed, waking the whole floor. People came out to see what happened. An elderly couple across the hall called the front desk. His friends rushed to the elevator. I saw them carrying duffel bags stuffed with their belongings. I followed with my captive to the lobby. In the elevator, he kept trying to break free. I had to press him against the wall to keep control. One girl asked if I would arrest him. Another girl worried I might arrest them all. The guy called me a coward who just showed off. I said I couldn't arrest anyone and would leave that to police. He called me a loser too pathetic to be a cop. At the lobby, his friends ran for the ground floor exit. They left in 2 separate cars. I put the guy in a chair and told the front desk to call police. She said they'd arrive in 30 minutes. The night manager came out from the back office. He took photos of my injury for the incident report. The guy kept swearing until an officer arrived 35 minutes later. The officer recognized the guy. They had history from previous encounters. He had warrants for drug possession, selling, assault, and attempted murder. These warrants were from a neighboring city about 20 miles away. The officer called his partner waiting downstairs. He checked my injury and suggested I get medical attention. He asked if the guy assaulted me and if I wanted to press charges. I said no, but mentioned the drugs upstairs. The hotel would handle the assault internally with the banned guest list. The backup watched the suspect while we checked the room. We found drugs everywhere, in cracks, the toilet, sink, under the mattress. I guessed 3 or 4 pounds total. The street value was around $10,000. The guy denied having drugs until the officer showed him a bag. They took him to the squad car. I finished my shift despite having a headache. The night manager insisted I file a workers' comp claim. A few days later, I learned the room was registered to one of the girls. She paid with a stolen credit card. She was wanted too. Her card had the address where she lived with the second girl. The police raided that address and found more drugs. My head hurt for a week with a bump, but no major bleeding. The hotel gave me 3 days of paid leave. They installed better security cameras in the hallways. After this incident, when I returned, they offered me a promotion to full-time security supervisor. The position came with a $2 per hour raise. Was it worth it? Yes. I took down a guy who assaulted staff and helped catch someone with warrants. Not bad for a maintenance guy doing security. The hotel banned all 6 people permanently from the property. Their names and photos went into the hotel chain's shared security database. I still work in hotel security today, but at a different location, with better equipment and training. I always remember to call for backup before evicting guests now. I work as an administrative assistant at a marketing firm for 2 years now. The job is good. I handle scheduling, files, reception, and keep things running. Most co-workers are great and my supervisor is reasonable. Then there's the Executive Vice President of Operations, VP. For short, VP is entitled. He's been with the company for 15 years and thinks this gives him the right to treat everyone like servants. He's not even the boss. He reports to the Chief Operations Officer, who's decent. But VP acts like he owns the place. When I started, I tried to be nice. I thought keeping higher-ups happy was part of my job. But VP took it too far. He'd snap his fingers at me. He'd interrupt my lunch for computer problems. Once, he asked me to pick up his dry cleaning because he had a call. The office cars became his favorite thing to pick on. Our company has 3 vehicles, 2 newer hybrids, a Toyota sedan and a small SUV, and an old Honda that nobody likes. The Honda makes weird noises and smells like old French fries. Nobody drives it unless they have to. The hybrids park facing each other underground. VP got obsessed with how close they were to each other. Weekly, he'd call my desk and tell me to fix the cars. When I'd say I was busy with reports he needed, he'd cut me off. He'd say it was important because he could barely get out when he parked. No one else ever complained. And VP always parked the SUV a foot over the line. This made it hard for the Toyota to fit properly without hitting something. I'd go down and move the cars. Sometimes just an inch, hoping he wouldn't notice. He always did. He'd ask if I moved them at all. When I said yes, he'd say they needed to be closer. He wanted no space between them. The COO noticed how VP treated me and sometimes stepped in. Once, VP called me from urgent work to refill copy paper. The COO walked by and asked about the copier. VP told him it needed paper and he asked me to do it. The COO told him he knew how to refill paper and that admin staff have priorities. VP tried to explain but stopped. Even with these moments, VP kept up his behavior. He'd just wait until the COO wasn't around. Last week was the breaking point. I was busy with reports, a client visit, and fixing a billing problem. Around 2 p.m., VP came to my desk during an angry client call. He told me he needed 24 cookies for his meeting. I held up a finger to wait. He sighed and tapped his watch. After my call, I asked what he needed. He wanted 24 cookies for his meeting in 30 minutes. I pointed out his meeting was on the calendar for a week. I asked if he could have told me earlier. He said he was telling me now. He told me to go to the bakery down the street. He added they should be good cookies, not cheap ones. I wanted to tell him I had urgent tasks. I wanted to say he could get them himself. I wanted to point out 30 minutes wasn't enough time. Instead, I smiled and said I'd go. The bakery was busy. I waited 15 minutes in line, then 5 more for boxing. I was cutting it close to his meeting time. Walking through the garage with cookies, I passed the hybrids. The SUV was over the line as usual. I thought about all the times VP made me fix the parking. I had an idea. I put the cookies on the Toyota, got in, and started it. Then I pulled forward, and forward, and forward. The sensor started beeping, but I ignored it. I moved until the bumpers were almost touching. The sensor was screaming to stop. I turned off the car, took the cookies, and went inside. I felt satisfied. I gave VP his cookies with 5 minutes to spare. He complained about how long it took. He told me to plan better next time. I nodded and went back to work. The next morning, coworkers were laughing at a phone picture. They showed me the hybrids with bumpers nearly touching. You couldn't fit paper between them. One coworker said VP was mad. He tried to get in the SUV but couldn't open the door wide enough. I kept a straight face and shrugged. I said the guy likes them that way and I was following orders. They laughed more. VP tried for 15 minutes to get in the SUV. He gave up and took the old Honda. He came in angry about whoever parked the cars. Someone said he went to HR about it. He called it car sabotage. He blamed the maintenance guy who hates him. HR just said they'd look into it. For days, VP ignored me. No car requests, cookie runs, or paper refills. By the 3rd day, I thought he figured out it was me. Thursday, the COO came to my desk. He mentioned the car trouble that week. I nodded carefully. He said VP thought someone played a prank. I said I didn't know about that. The COO smiled and said if someone followed VP's instructions to park closer, that would just be following orders. I didn't answer but couldn't help smiling. He told me he talked with VP about proper task delegation. He said VP would handle his own car issues now. True to his word, VP hasn't asked me to move cars since. No last-minute errands either. When he needs something, he emails with notice or does it himself. Yesterday, I saw him parking the SUV within the lines. When he saw me watching, he looked away and hurried to the elevator. The cars now have reasonable space between them. Cookie requests come a day ahead. I heard VP got a formal warning about misusing admin staff. And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.